Okay, so here's a really interesting predicament. What if 90% of your country's digital infrastructure was controlled by a foreign power? That's not theoretical, that's Europe right now, and they're finally doing something about it. And here's the situation, I've been digging into this a bit. Nearly every piece of critical European digital infrastructure, be it cloud, compute, software, is controlled by American tech giants, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. But it's not just about where the servers are, it's about who has access to control them, and more importantly, who can access them. So there's a law that most people don't know about, and it came to pass in, I think, 2018. The United States passed the Cloud Act, right? And this law lets American authorities compel any US-based tech company to hand over data regardless of where it's physically stored. So let's play this out. If you're a European government agency using Microsoft 365 hosted in Frankfurt, it doesn't matter. The US government can still demand access. And here's the kicker. They can issue a gag order preventing Microsoft from telling you it happened. So think about what that means from a European governance standpoint if you're a hospital, court, defense agency, financial institution. Their most sensitive data is one warrant away from federal government access. It's not paranoia, it's the law. But something's shifting, and this is what's been happening. There was a great article about it at the end of last year. For example, Austria's Ministry of the Economy, not Australia, but Austria's Ministry of the Economy, completed a full migration away from US cloud providers. So there's 1,200 people now running on sort of locally hosted open source alternatives. And this is not the first example of this kind of thing, but there's more of it, right? So the International Criminal Court in The Hague ditched Microsoft entirely after its chief prosecutor got locked out of its Outlook account during politically sensitive proceedings. There's a company in Germany with 30,000 civil servants starting to use open source locally hosted alternatives. These aren't pilot projects, these are real migrations starting to happen. But here's what makes it really interesting for anyone in tech or business, particularly when you start to think about AI and governance, risk and compliance. So Article 35 of the GDPR Act requires a data protection impact assessment before you deploy any technology that presents some sort of risk to rights and freedoms. So when you run that on US cloud services, the Cloud Act creates an automatic red flag. It's an unacceptable risk. European organisations aren't choosing sovereignty because it's trendy, they're choosing it because their laws demand it. So here's where it gets complicated though. In the States, American cloud providers, of course, there's an economic motivation. They're now marketing sovereign cloud solutions, data centers on European soil, partnerships with local operators. Critics call this, sovereignty washing, I guess, because no matter where the data sits, if the parent company is American, the Cloud Act applies. So it's kind of like there's a degree of appeasement there. And I'm sure there's some practical benefits to the approach that they're putting forward, but there's still the underlying issue still exists. So, what does all this mean? Ultimately, where are we going? So for European tech companies, this is your moment, or anyone who's got some sort of locally hosted capability. Demand for genuine sovereign capability is exploding, which is fantastic. For global enterprises, you need to think about some sort of federated approach. It's not going to work just having everything hosted in the States or hosted in a hyperscaler's infrastructure. So you need multiple cloud strategy, but the definition of cloud for you may also mean something that's more locally controlled. That's particularly the case, I guess, if you're a regulator. I talked about this separately. Regulators have got a whole nother set of constraints where they need to start thinking about what if the hyperscaler goes down? What if they can't access it? What if they've also got the keys, which I've just been talking about? There's another set of challenges that arise for those in that particular industry. And then for anyone who's building tech products, this presents an opportunity. I think for many years, we've all been very much focused on obviously a single code base, but also a single SaaS deployment somewhere out there in the cloud. With Edge AI, the sovereign agenda, what's happening in Europe, there's so many variants that I think are going to emerge and that customers and enterprises need to embrace. And Europeans ultimately finally building and moving on this particular agenda, which is fascinating. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your comments. Tap them below or shoot me a note, whatever works. Thanks, guys.